Hi everyone, this is a video answer key for your 4H through 4J practice quiz. I'm going to do the odds for you. Alright, so our first problem is 4/5 minus 1/7. We need a common denominator. And for fifths and sevenths, we can just multiply these two denominators together. We get 35, and we'll use that as our common denominator. Because I had to multiply 5 times 7 to get 35 here, I multiplied the 4 times 7 also to get an equal fraction, 28/35. This 7 was multiplied by 5, and so its numerator has to be multiplied by 5 as well to get 5/35. We take 28 and we subtract 5 and we get 23/35. That can't be reduced, and so our answer should be 23/35. Problem number 10 already has a common denominator, so we don't need to get one, and so we just subtract the numerator. So 7 minus 3 is going to give us 4/10. But 4/10 can be simplified, it can be reduced, so we're going to divide both the top and the bottom there by 2. 4 and 10 are both even, so both of those can be divided by 2. We will get 2/5, and so our final answer here should be 2/5. Next one is a mixed number that we need to add without common denominators. I like to stack my mixed numbers up when I add or subtract them. This is an addition problem. I look at both of my denominators and I see that 20 could be used here as a common denominator because I can multiply 5 times 4 to get 20, so I'm going to do that. In order to convert 5 into 20, I had to multiply by 4, and so I multiply its numerator by 4 as well. And so that's 5 and 16/20. And then I'm adding 3 and 2/20. When I do that addition, I add the denominators first. 16 and 2 is 18. Keep the denominator. And then 3 plus 5 is 8. 18 and 20 are both even, so I'm going to divide those by 2, and I get 8 and 9/10. 8 and 3/4 minus 2 and 3/8. This is a subtraction problem. I'm looking for a common denominator, and I see there that I could multiply 2 by 4 to make 8, so I'm going to use 8 as my common denominator. 4 times 2 was 8, so 3 times 2 is 6. We're subtracting 2 and 3/8. Subtract the fractions, subtract the 6 minus 3. Keep the denominator, and then 8 minus 2 is 6. This cannot be reduced, so my answer is 6 and 3/8. Then I'm going to do 2 and 2/3 plus 5 and 7/9. Common denominator for 3 and 9 would be 9, because I can multiply 3 by 3 to get 9. So 2 times 3 is 6, and we don't need to change 5 and 7/9. It already has the 9 as its denominator. Then I'm going to add my numerators. 6 and 7 is 13/9. 5 plus 2 is 7. This is an improper fraction, so we can't leave it that way, so we take our 13 and divide it by 9. 9 divides into 13 one time, that's our whole number. When I subtract, I get 4 left over. That's our new numerator, and the denominator stays the same. So this equals 1 and 4/9, but I have to add that to my 7. So these two need to get added together for my final answer of 8 and 4/9. I'm going to go over here and do number 10 for you as well. No, I'm going to do number 8. I want you to see a subtraction problem where you need to borrow. So we've got 9 and 2/7, and we're subtracting 1 and 1/2. I'm going to use 14 as my common denominator. 7 times 2 is 14, so I know that will work. So I multiplied the 2 by 7 to get 14. 1 times 7 is 7. 7 times 2 to get 14, so 2 times 2 is 4. I can't take 7 away from 4, so I borrow from my 9 and make that an 8. I add the value of the denominator to the numerator, so my new numerator becomes 18. 18 minus 7 is 11/14. 8 minus 1 is 7, so 7 and 11/14, because 11/14 cannot be reduced. And then finally I'll do the word problem for you down here. It says Raylene and Diamond are twins. Raylene weighed 7 pounds when she was born, and Diamond weighed 5 2/3 pounds. How much more did Raylene weigh than Diamond at birth? So when you see that how much more, you should be thinking subtraction there, want to know the difference between the two weights. So I have 7 minus 5 2/5. I can't take 2/5 away from 0, so I borrow from my 7 and make that a 6. The one that I borrowed, I'm going to change into 5/5. I could change it into 5/5, 3/3, 2/2, anything that has the numerator and denominator the same. And the reason that I'm choosing fifths is because that's the denominator here, and it makes my subtraction problem easy for me then. So 5 minus 2 is 3. Denominator stays the same, and 6 minus 5 is 1. And so Raylene weighed 1 3/5 pounds more than Diamond when they were born. Alrighty, there's your practice quiz. Please let me know if you have any questions.